Welcome to Terrajuno Painting Stuff. On this plein air adventure, we are going to be talking about finding a location to paint. We're going to be talking about various things to avoid, what to look for if you're a new plein air painter, and just general advice on finding the right spot and the right time to paint. If you're new to plein air painting, which basically means painting outside or in open air, or you're considering trying it, one of your biggest considerations is going to be choosing a location to paint. It can be harder than you think. You gather up all your gear and make the effort to get out there, and then you can't decide what to paint. Or, as beautiful as a scenery is, you just can't make a good composition out of it. A scene can be both beautiful and unpaintable. I often go out ahead of time and scout out a location before I get my paints all packed up and drag all the equipment out there. This just saves energy and time. I will usually find a spot and then I'll have several different scenes to choose from just in case the lighting or the situation changes when I get there. We are going through the bushes to get to today's location. It's a bit overgrown, but I made it in once. Ouch. I did come down here yesterday when I was walking Emily and scouted out this place. I chose this spot because it's very private and we need a lot of space. One of us doesn't really get along with other living creatures, and yeah. In case you haven't tuned into my channel before, this is my plein air buddy, Emily, and we've had her for 11 months now, and she's a rescue, and she is a wonderful, loving, smart little dog, and she's also a complete terror. Okay. There's probably gonna be a lot of growling. I don't know what she thinks she's hunting. I think she's just hunting leaves falling on the water. We're tucked out of the way at Panama Flats, just along the Colquitt's Creek. There's obviously a lot of things to paint here, and it can be hard to narrow it down. So I am going to be taking my viewfinder and just having a little look around. So when you're trying to find a location, one thing that's really important is feeling a connection to it. And it could be memories, it could just be just the way it makes you feel. I think that is ultimately what you're going to respond to, and probably what the people looking at your painting are going to respond to as well. And whenever I am looking at a scenery, deciding whether I want to paint it, that's the first thing I ask myself. How does this scene make me feel? And does it make me feel calm, nostalgic, romantic, anxious? Really tap into that and let that guide you the whole way through, more so than line, directions, and colors. I feel like that should be your guiding light through the painting process. I've got two choices of panel with me today, a rectangle and a 12 by 12 square. I thought ahead and put handles on them so they can be packed out of here. I actually think that this is going to be the composition that I end up going with. I really like this. It's also not facing the sun. The sun is overhead right now, but it is quite cloudy, so I am expecting it to cloud over a little bit. One thing to keep in mind when you're plein air painting is you always forget something. So today, what I forgot is my ruler and pencil. I'm gonna have to make an approximation with my viewfinder just in paint. There we go. Good enough, right? Nothing's straight in nature anyways. I've got this tree, and this is like the really fascinating tree here. That's doing a lot of stuff. I'm gonna bring it around here. This other tree is kind of hanging out over here. That's also very interesting. Just branching off this way. And it's kind of coming around again. And then they're wrapped around each other. Kind of like two drunk people trying to keep each other propped up. When it comes to composition, I think the main rule to follow is do what you find pleasing, because there are so many rules about composition and they're mostly meaningless. One person is going to like something and another isn't. So find a composition that you're happy with, because ultimately you're the painter and you're in charge. Today I'm just using titanium white. I couldn't find my fast dry white. I usually have a fast dry white on here that's nice for thicker texture. And I've got burnt sienna, yellow ochre, ivory black, alizarin crimson, cadmium red medium, terra rosa, permanent green, phthalo green light, azo green, ultramarine blue, Prussian blue, and for a medium here I have Gamblin solvent-free gel. I'm going to start putting in a colored wash, and I'm going to use a bit of medium. I'm going to give this a nice yellowish brown wash because I'm seeing a lot of that in the water. I don't want to make this too dark right away. There is like a little bit of a tendency to go too dark too quickly because you're working in such a bright area. Try to avoid having your painting surface in direct sunlight, or you'll end up making the painting too dark. When you're starting out plein air painting, tackling backlight can be a little bit challenging. Backlight often makes a lot more detail, and it requires using your colors a little bit differently. If you're just thinking about starting plein air painting, you may want to avoid backlight. So I'm seeing a lot of bright greens up there, so I'm using the phthalo green light. This is almost like a watercolor wash. Right now I'm just working on an underpainting of sorts. So I call it a color wash, and it's just a thinned down, warmer version of what I want to paint. It helps create texture in the painting, and it also helps you work out the composition sort of tonally. I really like soft brushwork, and I'm always going for kind of a romantic feel in the majority of my paintings. So one way I get that is by putting in this color wash very loosely and really brushy, and then working into that. That's the great thing about plein air painting is you don't have time to sort of tinker and overthink, because you're racing against the light and different things going on. You're more likely to not overthink things, and you're more likely to be working from a place that's more like genuinely you. The tree nuts are falling in the water and it's driving her crazy. She thinks it's like a creature. There's one of the culprits right there. It just fell into my Prussian blue. Emily pretty much hunted water skeeters and falling acorns the whole time. If the speed that you currently paint is a barrier for you to try plein air painting, consider finding a quiet area and choosing an overcast day so the light is more stable throughout the day and you have longer to paint. You may find that you're a completely different painter outdoors than you are in the studio. The speed that you can paint when you're motivated by external factors might surprise you. I find that I've actually slowed down over the years while I plein air paint, and I think it's because I've just grown more comfortable with painting outdoors. Remember to give yourself plenty of time. It usually takes longer to set up and get started than you think. Be patient with yourself. You're trying something new. And even if you have plein air painted many times, each situation and scene is different. So be gentle on yourself. If you don't like the painting, put it aside, look at it a month later, and sometimes looking at it with fresh eyes, you see something there that you actually love, and you may just remind you of being out painting and having a nice time out in nature, which is its own reward. I've lost the bright punches of green light, but the greens just look so much more gentle, and the darks look more purple when it's this even overcast light, and I really like that. We should discuss distractions. Depending on your comfort level being watched or interrupted while you're painting, pick a spot where you feel the most comfortable with the amount of people or animal activity in the area. If you're out there painting, there's a really good chance somebody's going to come up to you. And, if you find it really hard to get back on track, you may just want to find somewhere where there really isn't anybody else around. I'm using a soft badger hair brush to blur the paint strokes in the water reflection. Be careful not to blend too much. You still want some blocks of color, but blending will help give a different texture to that area to set it apart from the brushwork in the actual trees and bushes. Now you can lay over thicker and lighter paint to give the effect of ripples. Now to put in a bit of detail. I'm going to take a bamboo skewer and create the effect of rough bark. This, like the paint strokes and blending, creates a third kind of texture in the painting, giving the illusion of detail and helping define the tree from the background, even though they're very similar in color and tone. Alright, I am going to have to call that done. Hey girl, did you get enough hunting done? So our takeaways today are basically pick somewhere where you feel comfortable and you feel like you can get into that place and set up and comfortably paint. Most importantly, pick somewhere that you feel that you connect with. Bring a viewfinder, and most importantly, enjoy yourself. Ouch. Made it. Just a woman coming out of the bushes. Walk away. The painting made it home safely, and the dog was officially tired, which is an accomplishment in itself. Thank you so much for joining me for another plein air adventure. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you paint something beautiful. The squirrels are teasing her. I'm sure they're purposely dropping these things in to taunt her. Emmy! Go get it, girl.